Welcome to another episode of the Bright Light Show. I hope that you're all well and that you're staying safe. So before we get in, last week I asked you to email me with any feedback that you've got. Well, I've tried to make it even easier than that, and we have emailed out to your families and to the people that you live with a feedback form all about the Bright Light Show. It's only got 5 questions in it, and it will take about 1 or 2 minutes for you to fill out. If you could nag the people that you live with, the adults that you live with, to fill out that form with you, we would love to know what you think about the Bright Light Show. Because we want to make sure that what we're doing here is good and is working for you guys. So let us know your feedback. Right, that's that bit done. We're going to crack on with today, and we're going to start with our song.
Cast your cares on his shoulders. Oh, cast your cares on his love. Cast your cares on his shoulders. Trouble, he won't let go. If I lose my way, Lord, I pray, lead me home. In the darkness, when it's hardest, you are my hope. In my highs and lows, cast your care on his shoulders. My care, oh, cast your care on his love. The storms might come, but he'll never leave. Take his word, he'll forever be source of strength when we're running out of energy. Place your cares on his shoulders, the remedy. He'll give you strength that is needed for every task. I know he's on our side, and that's everything. In the past, they just led us even through the dark. And anything we need, we can ask. Cause I know
that you're with me.
You're with me.
You're near me.
You're near me.
You're for me.
You're for me.
I know that you're listening and
leading
and loving.
Love.
I pray that you'll hear me and free me and carry. I know that you're with me. You're near me.
You're for me.
In my weakness, my trouble, when it's darkest and it's hard, when I'm lonely, console me. When I'm searching, I'm hurting.
Oh, I know you're with me, you're near me, you're for me, Lord. So I'll cast my care.
I will cast my care on his shoulders,
On your shoulders.
on his shoulders. I'll give you everything I have.
I'll give you everything.
Because you care for me, because you love me. I will cast all my cares on his shoulders.
On his shoulders. When I'm weak, you are strong.
Great stuff. So we're going to be continuing with our series of thinking about some of the people that Jesus meets. And this week, Jesus meets someone and he helps them. Now, Jesus has met a lot of people so far that we've seen and helped them. He's helped 5,000 people. He's helped a man with a withered hand. He's helped a Roman centurion. Well, this week, Jesus helps a father and a daughter. Roll the cameras.
Everyone had been waiting for Jesus, and when he came back, a crowd was there to welcome him. Just then, the man in charge of the Jewish meeting place came and knelt down in front of Jesus. His name was Jairus, and he begged Jesus to come to his home because his 12-year-old child was dying. She was his only daughter. While Jesus was speaking, someone came from Jairus' home and said, "Your daughter has died. Why bother the teacher anymore?" When Jesus heard this, he told Jairus, "Don't worry, have faith, and your daughter will get well." Jesus went into the house, but he did not let anyone else go with him, except Peter, John, James, and the girl's father and mother. Everyone was crying and weeping for the girl, but Jesus said, "The child isn't dead. She is just asleep." The people laughed at him because they knew she was dead. Jesus took hold of the girl's hand and said, "Child, get up." She came back to life and got right up. Jesus told them to give her something to eat. Her parents were surprised, but Jesus ordered them not to tell anyone what had happened.
So that was the story of Jesus healing Jairus' daughter. Now that's a pretty famous story in the Bible, and you can read all about that in Matthew and in Mark and in Luke. So let's ask the question which we always ask: why do Matthew, Mark and Luke think that this is a story that's worth telling? Well, here's a couple of reasons. We're going to think about two things. Number one, now you won't be surprised to hear that for the people watching Jesus, or for the people reading about this story, they would have been shocked. And Jesus wasn't afraid to shock people and do things that would have made them go, "What?" And we've seen that in some of the previous stories that we've thought about. But you might be wondering, well, why is it shocking, Stuart? Why is it shocking for Jesus to want to help a dad who's worried about his daughter? Well, here's why. In Jesus' time, there were lots of special rules and laws about staying clean, and these were called purity laws. Now, I don't mean clean from mud and dirt, although that was important. I mean being clean before God. The Jewish people thought that was really, really important, that you couldn't go before God if you were dirty. And one of their laws was, if someone has died, you can't touch the body. If you touch the body, you become unclean. And if you did that, everybody would have stayed away from you like this. But when Jesus goes to Jairus' house and he sees the little girl on the bed, he touches her. Now, rather than Jesus being infected by the little girl who had died, he infects her with his power and with his love. And what happens? She gets up and Jesus brings her back to life again. So maybe Matthew and Mark and Luke are trying to make a point here about Jesus' power and Jesus' love, but also the fact that Jesus wasn't afraid, once again, to break down that wall, that boundary that said, you're going to be unclean if you do something. That said, you're going to be unclean if you touch a dead person. Because Jesus isn't made unclean. Jesus, when he touches the little girl, would have been showing people, of course it doesn't make you unclean before God if you touch someone that is dead. Of course God can still talk to you and love you, and of course you can still love and talk back to God. Number two, big part of this story is about trust. Now, we thought last week about what it meant to follow Jesus, because when Jesus healed blind Bart, he could see that the best way to live was to follow Jesus. And a big part of following Jesus is trusting Jesus. And Jairus, straight away, when he comes before Jesus, falls on his knees, and then he trusts Jesus. Now, we can read a story like that without really thinking about it, but think about how hard that would have been. He knows his daughter is ill, then he gets the news his daughter has died. But he still makes the decision, the choice, to trust Jesus when Jesus says, have faith. It's going to be okay. Believe in me. Trust me. That would have been hard. Could you have done that? Do you think you would have been able to trust in that situation? But Matthew, Mark and Luke, in this story, are showing us that we can trust Jesus in what we see Jesus doing and saying about the way that we should live. So, for example, about trying to show compassion and care to people, trying to forgive people, trying to live in a loving way, trying to be patient with people, trying to be gentle with people. These are things that are not easy, but we can see Jesus doing them, and we can trust that actually maybe that is the best way. Maybe the best way for me to live is to try and treat other people the way that I would like to be treated. Something to think about. Right, to help us think about this story a little bit more, it's time for us to do a craft.
Craft time.
Good morning, everybody. Now, for our craft today, we are going to make something together that is going to help us remember that amazing story of Jesus raising Jairus' daughter. For this craft, you are going to need 2 pieces of thin card or paper. You're going to need some felt pens. You're going to need some scissors, pencil, and some sellotape. To start with one of your pieces of paper, you're going to fold it in half, and this is going to be the base of our craft. And on the top part of this piece of paper, you are going to draw a window. Okay, a window. I'm going to just do it in felt pen so you can see what I'm doing. You might want to do it in pencil first. You're going to draw a window. And on this side of the piece of paper, you are going to draw a person, and that person is going to be Jesus. Okay, so I know some of you might want to get an adult to help you, but you're going to have a go at drawing a person. And here's one that I have already done. And to remind us of what Jesus said to Jairus' daughter, you might want to add, just like I've got here, a speech bubble that says, "Little girl, get up." Okay. Then, on this part of your piece of paper, this is where we're going to draw the sleeping mat that Jairus' daughter would have slept on. So you're going to choose your colour, and you're going to draw a nice big mat. It's going to take up most of that bottom half of the piece of paper, like this. You might want to put a pillow in, like this. And then you're going to want to give it some colour. And you should find, when you've coloured it in, that your piece of paper will look like this. Now I've got a slit halfway down the mat. And what you're going to do very carefully with your scissors is you're going to cut that little line halfway along your mat. You're going to cut along that line. So just really carefully, you might want to get an adult to help you. Just cut along that slit, okay? And we're going to use that in a moment. And there we are. So you should be able to just open that up gently and pop that piece to one side, because we're going to use that piece in a minute. Now on your second piece of paper or card, what you need to do this time, and again it's drawing another person, you need to have a go at drawing Jairus' daughter. Here we are. She's nice and happy at the moment because she has been healed. And what you're going to do is you're going to really carefully cut her out. Now you might want to cut it out a little bit away from the edge like I'm doing, so just cut around it. It doesn't have to be totally to the edge of your drawing. Here we go. So you're just going to cut out Jairus' daughter like that. Okay, so there we are. We've cut her out, and you'll obviously colour her in as well. Now, out of one of the scrap bits of card that you've got spare, you're just going to cut a big long strip like this. And we're going to use this in a minute to go through our hole that we've cut here. So it needs to be about the same width as the hole you've cut. If it's a bit too wide, don't worry, just trim it up and cut it a little bit thinner. So with one end of this long strip, you're going to sellotape that to the back of your Jairus daughter picture. So you get a nice bit of sellotape. You can glue it if you want to, and you're going to sellotape that to the back, okay, nice and firmly. Then what you're going to do is, using your baseboard that you've just made, you're going to put that strip through your slit. Okay, it's going to go all the way through like this. And you should find when you pull it down that Jairus' daughter ends up sleeping in bed. Okay, so there she is, sleeping in the bed. Now, just poke the strip a little bit up. And what you're going to do now is you're going to make a fold in the strip about halfway down. And then you'll find that Jairus' daughter stands up. Okay, so I'll just show you that last bit again. You're going to make a fold. You've got the strip lying down like this. And then you push it up and you make a fold, and then you can make her stand up in the bed when Jesus comes and says, "Little girl, get up." And you can pretend that she is getting up. And you can use this to help tell that story of that amazing miracle.
Another amazing craft there, right? Okay, I think it's time that we get our brain cells working a little bit. It's time for a quiz with Paul.
A quiz with Paul.
Hello, come with some more questions for you in our quiz. The first question: what was the first thing that God created? The answer is light. Second question: who received the 10 commandments from God at the top of a mountain? It was Moses. What food do we ask God to give us in the Lord's Prayer? The answer is bread. Number 4. Whose father gave him a coat of many colours? The coat was given to Joseph, and his father was Jacob. So the answer is Jacob. And the last question this week: what was the name of Moses' brother? The story of Exodus, Moses' brother. It was Aaron. Aaron, what God said would help Moses because he could do the speaking. That's the 5 questions for this week. Hope you have a good week. Look forward to seeing you next week. Bye.
Takeaway. Number 1. The Jewish people had special laws to keep them clean because they thought that's what God wanted. Jesus broke those laws. Number 2. Jairus made the decision to trust Jesus. That must have been hard, but he did it. Number 3. Who are the people that you trust? Are they good people to trust? What makes a person good to trust? And there it is. There's our takeaway for this week. So there it is. There's another episode of the Bright Light Show, when we thought about Jairus and his daughter. When we thought about the fact that Jesus broke down another wall by touching someone that everybody else would have gone, you can't do that. God won't want to talk to you if you do that. And Jesus was like, of course I can do that. Of course care and compassion matters. And we can think about trust. Who do you trust? Who are the people that you put your trust in? Well, I hope you all have a lovely week. Stay safe. Not long till you can go back to school and see your friends and your teachers in the same room. Won't that be good? And we will look forward to seeing you next week for another episode of the Bright Light Show. Bye. Boom.